Good evening and thank you for joining us. Thunder Bay City Council will continue to review Soccer Northwest's latest proposal for an indoor turf facility next to the community auditorium and will receive a full report in the spring.
Councillors voted unanimously last night to push forward, but the plan still sparked a lengthy debate. Vasilios Bellows was at City Hall yesterday and joins us live in studio with the details. Vasilios.
Thanks, Ryan. There are still some concerns about the proposed facility, namely the price tag, the quality of design, and environmental considerations. But that upcoming report should address those worries, as it will include further environmental assessment and a traffic study. City staff will continue to explore Soccer Northwest indoor turf facility proposal. City Council voted to continue with the review, and a final report is expected in May. That will include information on a second phase environmental study, a traffic study, and community consultation. Administration says the proposal will likely cost between $24 and $26 million, but a net zero facility will bring in closer to $30 million. Councillor Trevor Gertuga believes at this point, the community just wants somewhere to play.
I mean, I agree we like to make things nice, but I think that, kind of a bare bones type of facility is what the user groups are looking for.
I think bare bones is not the correct way of terming it. I think you're essentially what you're doing is you're shedding the fat. So inside this facility, you're still going to be able to do everything you could in the previous facility. If anything, this field is actually slightly larger than the previous facility was.
Councillor Andrew Fold says considering the size of the project, decisions cannot be made lightly, though he acknowledges that time is of the essence.
Every year that we don't do this, last year it would have been $6 million more, 2.5%. Every year that we don't build this, it becomes more expensive. And so I do think that there is a sense of urgency.
Administration's report also speaks about moving a large baseball diamond currently on site if their proposal moves forward, and 2 smaller diamonds nearby would be removed to make way for a new large one. That work will likely cost $350,000 to $400,000.
So this specific field is busy, and the quality of that field is absent in other, the quality and size is absent in other areas of the city. The question then becomes, if you wish to replace that field, which we presume will be used at the same level as it is now, there will be extra costs incurred.
Administration also resubmitted an application for federal funding for the original Chapels Park design, but a response on that isn't expected before the report on the Soccer Northwest proposal comes back in May.
The Fighting Saints.
Also on Monday, a celebration in council chambers as the city recognized the St. Pat senior football team for its wildly successful season. The Fighting Saints made Thunder Bay proud back in November, winning the OFSA Central Bowl by defeating the St. Roch Ravens 24-13. Vasilios Bellows, TBT News.
The upcoming election on the Fort William First Nation could be delayed due to an error that occurred during the nomination process last Friday. The final list of candidates for chief and band council were supposed to be released last night, but instead the person in charge of running the election suddenly quit. This is the resignation letter that Chief Electoral Officer Paula Hislop sent to Fort William CEO Michael Pelche Jr. She says due to an oversight that occurred during the nomination meeting, she felt it was best for the community that she step down immediately. Pelche issued a notice to the community today saying they're in the process of filling the electoral officer position in order to move forward with the vote. The First Nations Election Act states that a member can't nominate more than one candidate for chief. 12 people were nominated and second for that position on Friday, but the same person nominated both Tanis Castern and Georgianne Moroso. The issue wasn't raised until Monday, just as the candidate list was being finalized. That led to an emergency meeting of council. Pelche is now reviewing options with Indigenous Services Canada and says they may need to hold another nomination meeting. That would likely delay the election, which is currently scheduled for April 7th.
The chief of Neskantaga First Nation says he and his members are willing to lay down their lives to stop the development of mining roads into the Ring of Fire. The strong message from Chief Wayne Munoz comes one day after the Ford government approved the terms of reference for the proposed northern road link.
We will fight, and we are determined to protect our way of life, our rights, and this is a message to all the investors If you want to come and do business in our traditional homelands, you have to get the free prior informed consent of our people. That is it.
Yesterday, Mining Minister George Peary was joined by Webequie Chief Cornelius Wabas and Martin Falls Chief Bruce Ashney-Penescum for the road link announcement. Those two communities are leading the environmental assessment for the new corridor to connect the proposed Martin Falls Access Road and Webequie Supply Road to future mines. But Neskantaga has been a vocal opponent of Ring of Fire development. Muñez says the road and the mines will negatively impact the Attawapiskat River, which he calls the lifeblood of his community.
This is unacceptable. This is something that's very concerning for us, and it's something that the CEO of Ring of Fire Metals needs to know that you're not going to cross our river system without our free prior informed consent. You're going to have to kill us. You're going to have to do more than just getting access from the province of Ontario.
Ring of Fire Metals CEO Kristen Straub has responded, saying, quote, Neskantaga First Nation is an important community to us, and we continue to extend an invitation to Chief Muñez. We are committed to listening to the views and aspirations of all communities and to making balanced decisions about future development in the Ring of Fire.
8 people have been arrested across the province as part of a major drug trafficking investigation spanning from the Greater Toronto Area to Thunder Bay. 2 of the 8 accused are from our city. Ontario Provincial Police, in partnership with Thunder Bay Police, as well as Toronto and Durham Region Police, raided homes, storage lockers, and vehicles in Thunder Bay, Toronto, Oshawa, and Bowmanville. They seized about $650,000 worth of cocaine and fentanyl, as well as a pair of vehicles, and approximately $100,000 in cash. The accused are scheduled to appear in court in Toronto next month.
Thunder Bay Police have charged the driver of a pickup truck following a collision with a school bus yesterday afternoon. It happened on Pole Line Road near Town Line. The bus was stopped with its lights flashing when it was rear-ended. There were 9 children on board at the time. Fortunately, none of them were hurt. The driver of the pickup suffered minor injuries. He's since been charged under the Highway Traffic Act. Meanwhile, it's been a rough week for local dump truck operators. Yesterday, this vehicle was traveling with its bed lifted on James Street and got hung up on some overhead wires. City police have charged the driver with disobeying a height restriction. Then this morning, another dump truck had a mishap on Roslyn Road. The vehicle apparently went off the shoulder and tipped over. No one was hurt, and there didn't appear to be much damage to the utility pole.
The number of patient complaints is on the rise in Ontario hospitals and care homes.
That comes from the latest report from the patient ombudsman. Siobhan Morris has the details.
More and more Ontarians are telling the patient ombudsman they're not happy with the quality of care they're receiving.
Complaints like a lack of courtesy, respect, or compassion.
Last year, those kinds of complaints jumped by 43%.
Which to us sort of signals that the system is under strain, and people typically in better times we wouldn't see these kinds of complaints.
About 60% of all the complaints that came in zeroed in on experiences in a hospital. Thompson says staffing shortages, in part due to illness, are leading to longer wait times. Patients have expressed frustration about poor communication about how long those waits may be.
It's the nature of a system that is being asked a lot of it without the capacity, without the resources, without the people to be able to do it the way that they want to do the job.
The NDP used the ombudsman's findings to push the government for more.
Will you stop taking nurses to court, get the lights back on in public operating rooms, and get Ontarians the health care they need?
The Minister of Health thanked Thompson for his report.
Since the Office of the Patient Ombudsman has been in existence, they've been a valuable tool to assess where we need to make improvements.
Highlighting plans in motion to cover tuition for medical staff studying in remote areas if they promise to stay.
Legislation is working its way through the House that will give private clinics a greater role in clearing surgical backlogs. That bill also gives the Ombudsman oversight of those clinics. It's something Craig Thompson likes, to add a level of transparency.
It would mean an increase in complaints to our office from several hundred organizations that previously were not under our jurisdiction.
But his office hasn't sorted out how it will absorb that new work. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
The Thunder Bay Regional Hospital is taking steps to address the shortage of on-site parking.
A parcel of forested land along Golf Links Road was recently cleared to make way for nearly 200 new parking spots. The work is expected to be finished in the fall. The regional currently has 2,015 total parking spots, and with the expansion to Lot A2 near Golf Links Road, that will increase by 197 stalls. The extra parking will be used for staff, and a closer parking lot that was once allocated just for employees will now open up to patients, as the location is closer to the hospital. Vice President Peter Millema says the project is aimed at addressing their parking constraints now and in the future, as they try to get a step ahead of the ever-developing hospital.
So we needed more spots. So what we're doing is building 197 new spots over behind us. Reason for that is we have growth happening with the cardiovascular program that's going to start in 2026, and that's going to bring in approximately 100 new staff and patients. And then we also have the 1040 building over there that's filling up. So as that fills up, we need parking for that. So we saw the demand, looked at the different options, and this is where we landed with a consultant's report to build a new parking lot.
The estimated price tag for the expansion of parking lot A2 is $1.3 million. Some have suggested what the hospital really needs is a multi-level parkade. But Millema says the price tag for something like that could have been upwards of $40 million. He says many options were brought forward when the planning for a parking expansion was first put in motion.
There's a couple different spots on our property where we could put a parking lot. This was one of them. Looked at partnerships with other institutions to see if that would work, but the time on that just wouldn't allow it. Could potentially go across Golf Links Road, but there's then the risk of crossing over for patients and staff to cross over. And finally looked at a parkade, but the cost of a parkade is 6 to 7 times the cost per spot for a parking lot, understanding that there's no snow removal required with a parkade, but there are other maintenance costs with that. So from a business standpoint, it was not affordable. It was not an option that we could consider.
Some residents have already expressed environmental concerns about the removal of the treed area for the new parking lot. Millema reassures that once the project is complete, there will be new trees planted around the lot. The brand new paved lot is anticipated to be completed in September. Confederation College continues to work to address ongoing staffing shortages in the airline industry. Its Aviation Center of Excellence hosted 14 employers for a major job fair last night. From national airlines to local careers, students and those interested in aviation careers had the chance to network with a wide range of employers. The Royal Canadian Air Force also had a Chinook helicopter on site offering tours. According to a 2018 study by the Canadian Council for Aviation, the industry will need 7,300 new pilots and 5,300 aircraft maintenance engineers by 2025, and those numbers have grown since the pandemic. Associate Dean Matt Bunn says it's causing airlines to recruit more actively.
Basically, anybody that wants a job in this industry is going to get it. As you can see here from this job fair, the employers are coming to the students. It never used to be like that. So you used to, as a student, have to go out and submit your resume, go to different organizations, compete for different jobs, and now the employers are coming to the students. There's a huge need in the industry right now to fill these positions, both for pilots and aircraft maintenance, and the college can fill that need. We're trying to grow the program as well, so there's a lot of potential to keep graduating more students.
Bunn adds the college will graduate about 65 students from its flight management and aircraft maintenance programs this year.